welcome. Welcome to the Comic Corner. My name is Damon. He is AF. Buddy, how are you doing?
I am doing great, my man. The fast is over, so I have lots of energy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm all good. How are you doing,
I'm doing well. I saw all that food that you got. Looks like a feast, my friends.
dude? I was in a food coma of note last night. I got home and I don't think I did anything else. I just conked on the bed and I was out. All
Give me a
all of
top
that
three on
sugar.
that. Give me a top
Sorry.
three that you ate.
Probably the roasted leg of lamb. That's always a winner.
Okay.
Um, and then there was like various chicken pies and steak pies. Um, yeah, I mean, it's so difficult to pick a top three because all of them were so great. And I feel like my family members would probably like hate on me. Oh, so you didn't put mine in the top three?
Oh man,
Yeah,
I love throwing you
I'll
on the
reserve
spot.
it.
You know
Yeah.
I love throwing you on the spot. So also on
Yep.
the spot, here we go. We got the rundown for you for all the visual YouTubers out there who are watching us. Yes, we do have a new look. Isn't this exciting? A new storm. Who is this? We'll talk about the X-Men book. Birds of Prey. It's great. It's fire. We'll talk about that. And the Flash's first arc concludes. We have those three and so much more AF. But first, we got to talk about it. The
Yep.
Ultimate X-Men continues. This is the second issue, written and drawn by Peach Momoko. And I've seen a lot of discourse about this book. Honestly, I've seen a lot of discourse about this book, and I had a feeling this was going to be the case the second that this book was honestly announced. When you put Peach Momoko as a writer, if you're not used to her Demon Days stuff or honestly Eastern media writing, this is going to be a hard swing for you. This is going to be a challenging approach if you're used to just pure Western comics. And in the overall scheme of everything that the Ultimate Universe is giving us so far, this is very much on its own. Much like how her Demon Days was, but this just kind of has like the Ultimate X-Men title on there. And we'll talk about that at first. But overall, the story is still very good. I enjoyed the story of this. I will say, this is very slow for two issues in. It feels like we're maybe 2/3 of an issue in terms of story and content, because there's a lot of pages in there, much like manga reading is, where you're just kind of like you're looking at someone walking through a scene or reminiscing on something. There's not a lot of words going on, so you can read through this very quickly. But we are introduced to this quote unquote new Storm in this issue. Her name is May. She has Storm's powers, essentially. She is this version's world of a character with Storm's powers. Now, we do know this isn't a new Storm. Storm is still in the Black Panther books, just over there, but all this stuff is kind of happening over here in Japan as well in this X-Men universe. And what's kind of going on in this issue is a little confusing, but essentially, there's the main character, and she's been kind of haunted by this dark figure. And every time she talks to this dark figure, someone in her life, someone in her school, literally kills themselves. When I say this is one of the darkest Marvel books on the shelves, that's what I'm talking about. It is very dark in terms of there's a lot of suicide in this book, in this issue, and the previous issue. And it's dark because of that, but this new character, May, is very light and is very bubbly and is actually like kind of a fun character to have around, and you need that in this book. I will say, again, it's a lot going on here. They're still trying to figure out who this dark, shadowy character is and what's going on in this school and why the main character, who is essentially Armor in this book, like has the powers that she has, and we don't really know much of anything yet. And I think that is maybe when I see people saying, I don't know about this. And it's because of two things for me. The first one, and the most prevalent complaint about this book, is that this is an X-Men. And to an extent, I do agree, right? Like, we have two mutant like characters in this book who we don't even know if they are mutants yet or what, how mutants in this world even work. This isn't an X-Men team. This is an armor book with her new friend May, who just joined this issue. There's no team yet. There's nothing at all. The
So
school,
they're basically trying to flesh everything out.
it's very so that's my second, I would say, a complaint in this book, or at least like an I don't want to say a complaint, but like a second kind of gripe with this book is that it is very slow moving so far. We are 2 issues in now. And for a lot of people, they may have a 2 to 3 issue kind of like, you need to sell me here. And it feels like we're 2/3 through a issue one in terms of content, in terms of storytelling, in terms of figuring out what's going on, the characters that are involved. It's very slow. And I think this would have worked incredibly well as a weekly release if it was a little cheaper, or a bi-weekly release if, a weekly is a little too crazy because Peach is writing and doing the art in here. Peach's art, as expected, absolutely stunning, gorgeous watercolors. If you do not like the story, you can absolutely just pick this up for the art itself, and it is stunning to look at. But from a story perspective, it is slightly confusing for those who may not be familiar with the pacing that these stories tend to have, and that it's just you say X-Men on there, where's the team? We're 2
Yeah.
issues in, there's 2 characters. Are we getting more? Is it gonna take 6 issues to get a whole team? Maybe we can do that, but we've seen so many team books now where the first issue is, "Let's get the team together," and then this one is each issue may possibly be introducing a new character, and I don't know if that is kinda fast enough for the story that they're trying to tell here with the overall Ultimate Universe. This one just kinda feels like an outlier, and I heavily respect the big swing this book is taking. It is really creative, it is extraordinarily different. It just I don't know, we're 2 issues in, I'm just kinda like, "Alright, when are we getting there?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, to me, it basically sounds like a diversification of the character of the Storm character, without being disrespectful to the Storm character itself. As you said, Storm still exists. The
Yeah.
original Storm still exists, but I mean, we've seen this happen so many times in different in different types of comics where they would take the same character and they would basically try to cater to different types of racial delegations. We've seen it in DC Comics with Wally West when he initially died, and they brought him back as a black character who was called Wallace West. And then when Wally came back, they didn't get rid of Wallace West. Basically, he became Kid Flash, and Wally West became the Flash. So we've seen things like this happen before, where they try to diversify certain characters, and I don't see it as a bad thing. Certain people might be upset. I've seen certain people be upset on Twitter uh, about um, about a new Storm, but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't see an issue with it. I think, as you said, it's a big swing, and I think it could bear fruit moving forward.
I think it's important to differentiate the fact that this is not Storm 2, right? This
Yeah,
is a very new character. She is a brand new character who just
yeah,
happens to also have Storm's powers, right? And that's not the first time in any book, and especially any X book, we've seen any mutant share powers with
yeah.
another mutant, right? That's not like a crazy feat, you know? It's not uncommon either. So it is important to differentiate that. She's also, again, she's a totally different character so far. She's young. She's like in middle school going on high school. She's bubbly. She's very outgoing. She has a toy dog that she loves to bring around, and it works without batteries. I wonder why. character who can control electricity. So it's like, stuff like it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be uplifting, but also extraordinarily dark at the same time. This character, I think she has a lot of potential in her. I know people obviously and rightfully compare her to Aurora because they kind of share powers, but I would like to see it down the road. And what I think they could do with this is this character essentially started out as a variant cover, just a theoretical, hey, what if Storm and all these characters, all these major characters had their own proteges, variant covers. It's kind of how Gwenpool started. She started as a variant cover, and then one day they're like, let's make a Gwenpool comic book and see what that would bring, right? And it was very meta. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of these kind of like protege type of characters making
Yeah.
their way into like maybe an Ultimate Universe in these books or a one shot issue, whatever. But overall, it's fine. I just, I really need, I really, really, really need just like a picking up the pace, a here's what's going on type of story in issue 3 for me to continue to read it. And I think I will continue to read it because I like Peach Momoko stories. I love Demon Days, but that's because that lives very separate from like the overall Marvel universe. It's very separated from that. This
Yeah.
is in the Ultimate Universe, and like with everything going on in the Ultimate Universe, it's just like kind of living in its own little world in a way.
Yeah.
So that's what I really need. And I guess the key word there, I guess, AF, is continuity, right? What's the
Yeah.
publisher we say so far that's been absolutely killing it with continuity? DC Comics, Birds of Prey number 8. Now, one thing that we brought up a while ago, honestly, and I didn't even realize it until this morning, which is hilarious. Remember how there used to always be the Dawn of DC headers on here, and then they
Yep.
just took them away? Well, look at the bottom left of this cover.
It's back. It's
It's
back,
back, and it's
baby.
actually been back for about a month. I went to
Yep.
look, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Have these
And
been
if
here?
you look forward to the solicits for the coming months, they are all that label is just stuck on all of them. That
Mhm.
means we are going to be seeing the dawn of DC for a very long time, at
Yep,
least for
this
the next 3 to 4 months.
Mhm. This is almost feels like, when New 52 was a thing, Rebirth was a thing. Well, we'll see. I do like that this is kind of all under that big label, that big saga. And this book so far has just been a saga, and it's been so fun. And I know you're slowly catching up on this. You're
Yep.
creeping up on the back issues, but man, this issue's really ups the ante without spoiling anything on this book. It shows the threats that were kind of presented in earlier issues that were teased. They're here, and we're not running away from them at all.
Yep.
We're not delaying anything. We're going straight towards it. And I find that so fascinating because this book ends in a cliffhanger, and it's almost like the beginning of a new arc, but the continuation of the last one. So the last arc, you can almost say, is like a 2-issue arc going into this third one potentially. But we do have a big cliffhanger here at the end that I'm just very excited to see where this goes. The art in here, again, phenomenal. It's so
Yep.
good. It's so good. Like I just love the art in this book. I love the vibe of this book. Everything about it is great. There's a fantastic moment. They did one of my favorite comic gimmicks that you see in the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run, where Clint has to jump out of bed because he's like, he just, he has to jump out of bed, but he's naked. And he jumps out of bed, and you see like over where they would censor him, like his like kind of logo face, the cutout that would go in the top left hand corner. They do that here with Barda.
Oh,
So it's like
nice.
it's a fun little gimmick that they play
Yeah.
on. It's a little sexy, it's fun, it's kooky. Like you get great moments from every single character on this team, and you just have to credit Kelly Thompson on this because it's just so worth picking up. I've yet to be disappointed by any of these issues so far. I don't think I ever will, but it's just fun. And that's what I like out of comic books. I want fun. I love the big Barda dynamic. I hope she never leaves this team. She is an absolute delight. You know me. When it came to DC Comics, I was kind of like a little bit of greenhorn last year. I was like weaseling my way through. I knew some things, but I'm like, I don't really know. And when Kelly announced Big Barda on this team, I'm like, I really don't know much of Barda. And now I want to learn everything of Barda. She is an absolute delight, especially the dynamic between her and Cassandra. Like, I just want all that, just a book between those two, and I'd be happy.
That would be amazing. I know you said no spoilers earlier, but one thing that we can notice from this cover over here is Vixen is front and center. We have hardly nowhere to be seen as well. So, am I correct in thinking that Harley dipped out and Vixen replaced her moving forward? Or
I won't say. I won't say.
okay, I think I'm correct then.
I won't say. I will let you.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I'll let you get there. I won't say anything about anything, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good book, and a book you've always liked, but you're kind of, you're into a new era in this book, and you're kind of offset by it. I want to hear how things are going with the Flash.
So, as you can see over here,
Mhm.
Wally West is my favorite character across DC, Marvel, any sort of comic medium. I love Wally West. He is the most wholesome, the most lovable, goofy type guy, and I just can't get enough of him. And I feel like Jeremy Adams in the previous run nailed the character to a T. Simon Spurrier came in around about October last year, and he started his run on the Flash, and it was a bit tough to get into in the beginning. We've just finished his first arc right now, and I've done some research in terms of how fans and readers have taken to this comic, and I feel like he's alienated quite a few of them.
Mm.
He's gone for a sort of a cosmic horror type storyline, and while I know what he was trying to do, and I see the big swings that he was going for, and he's a wordsmith of note. I mean, the guy is so talented with his writing, but I feel like Wally West was the wrong character to go down this path with. Um, in this issue, we see Barry coming back for the first time in a very long time, having screen page time, put it like that, page time with Wally. We see Barry in the Flash costume as well. So there are some moments where you're struggling to find out who's saying what, because uh, there are some panels where the emblems are cut out. So obviously you can differentiate them between Wally has the single zigzag and Barry has the double zigzag.
Mm.
But there are some panels where that's cut out, so you can't really differentiate between the two of them who's saying what. So that's a small little nitpick of mine in this issue. But Sai has been building up to this mysterious sort of entity controlling everything that's happening with the ripples in time, with the cuts in the universe, and people and creatures seeping through. But I'm going to go into a bit of spoilery territory right now. But at the end of it, the cliffhanger is that it's Eobard Thawne. He's back, and
Mm.
he's been the one controlling everything. And for me, that's a bit anticlimactic because I was waiting for something big. I was waiting for something fresh and different. But it was just more of the same. It could be a red herring. This could just be a way to end this first arc off on, oh, okay, it's Thorn, but then issue 7 starts and, oh, you thought it was Thorn, but it's actually somebody else. But yeah, I've seen ratings for this book, and I've seen average ratings of like 2.5 and 3 out of 5, which, in my opinion, is not great for Wally West books. He's always a happy-go-lucky guy, and people are filled with so much joy and happiness after reading his books. And I think there's more people scratching their heads after every issue this time around.
It seems to me, as an outsider looking in on this, that this would have been like a great Dr. Fate book.
100%.
And just the
100%.
speedsters themselves. I mean, the speedsters can get weird, right? We've seen Barry in some weird situations, but maybe that's just not what the Wally Wests or the Barry fans are just kind of like looking right now. Is that kind of what it feels like?
Yeah, yeah. I think they are used to a certain sort of arc or certain type of storytelling, and this was a bit out of left field. And like I said before, like I was open to it in the beginning, but I think the pages became more and more complex as we went on, and I don't think that's what people want when they pick up a Wally West book. I don't think that they want to be reading pages over 5 times just to like try to understand what they are trying
Mhm.
to absorb. And that's not the end game of comic books, in my opinion. You shouldn't be trying to like calculate and decipher what you are reading at the end of it all.
Now, I know you are just a big Flash fan in general. So, are
Yeah.
you considering jumping off the book, or are you just be on it and for the end because it's your guy?
Yeah, so I have a loyalty to Wally West, so I'm gonna keep on riding this wave, no matter what.
Mhm.
If it was another character, I probably would have jumped off. But yeah, I'm committed to this guy, and I don't think I'll ever stop.
So, AF is committed. We will continue to recap the Flash, and maybe, maybe it'll get better. Things do get better sometimes, you know?
Yeah,
You never know. You know, it's a book that's never had to get better because it's just always been amazing. It's surprised to no one who's been like listening to this show. G. Willow Wilson's Poison Ivy does not miss. We're now 21 issues into this story. A story that started out as a 6 issue miniseries, a story that was then pushed to a 12-issue miniseries, and then just, it's so good. Why do we need it to stop? And it hasn't stopped. And now we are on part 3 of 3. This is issue 21 of the secret origin of Pamela Isley. This is a little bit of a retcon, just a little bit. They honor the big moments in her life, but some of the smaller ones, you can kind of go back and tweak a little bit, because it's like, oh, maybe the memory just wasn't quite what it should have been in that moment, right? How did things really truly go? How did she get to this point? I really enjoyed this. Longtime fans will probably have some gripes with some of the let's shall we say the retcons in here, or how she may have used her pheromone powers and how she realized when she got them type of thing. But it's just so good, and this is great for newer readers too, especially because like this whole series from where it started from to where it is now, but still honoring that base level of where it was at the very beginning. It just feels like this was always planned, which is like always an amazing thing. And I love these last few issues because it just really added to the depth that Pam has now, and you can
yeah,
see like why she thinks the way she does. It's just so good. The writing phenomenal from G. Willow Wilson. The art, once again, Marcio Takara is just incredible. It He found a way, much like in our Birds of Prey book. He found a way to make Poison Ivy, make Pam sexy, but not cheesecakey, right? She just like always looks good, but it's never over the top, right? It
yeah.
doesn't just look like it's like we know what you're doing here. It
I
just
totally get you. Yeah,
looks so good. Everyone in this book looks so good. Like it's great. If you aren't on this book, go get to it. I guarantee you for our comic book reading club, we will be getting to this at some point this year because it is that good. I've been
yeah.
getting some people in my comic shops on it. It's been great. Like they've been enjoying it too. So I can't wait for you to at least read the first, say like the first volume of it, just at least like that mini series portion before it
Yeah,
goes into where we are now and it kind of expands her story. It's just so
yeah.
good.
I've already pre-ordered the trade. So the trade is scheduled to release sometime in May. So yeah, that would probably hit my way sometime third week of May or so. I know that we decided that we will be reading this book. But I think it's volume one that's only released in May, and then volume two is released in July. Um,
Yes,
so
at least
that's not great.
on the soft cover side, because
Yeah.
DC, you wanted me to freaking gripe about DC for a little bit? I absolutely can't stand it that they put the hardcovers first and then the soft covers. Look, I get
Yeah.
it because the hardcovers you can make more money if you sell them. Totally understand. And some of the books really look really gorgeous in a hardcover, but I collect soft covers ideally. And the only hardcovers I own right now are the Nightwing ones, just because I need them the second they come out.
Yeah.
And they do a great job, a phenomenal job on those hardcovers. When you get like the full, when you open it up and you get just like the full page, we showed it on the Nightwing Reading Club. You get that full
Yeah.
page spread just on the cover itself, and it's the sunset of Bloodhaven, and it is gorgeous, and you love it. Stunning. I just like to read a soft cover book ideally.
Yeah.
I like to bend it, you know? I don't want to like feel it where I'm like, it's like a coffee table book.
Yeah. Unfortunately, over in South Africa, we get the books that are the most cost efficient. So majority of the time they don't import the hardcovers. It's just the soft covers. So I have to go according to what we get over here, and right now it's just the soft covers. So I have to wait it out for
I wouldn't be
volume
mad.
two.
If I was you, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be mad on that
yeah,
one just because I'm like,
yeah,
I can't stand the hardcovers. You know a book that you have loved? I've loved Poison Ivy. I've absolutely loved Poison Ivy. And a book that you really loved when this came out, and you've been sticking to it as well, is because of the writer, I feel like. Green
yeah,
Lantern.
dude. I just mentioned a few minutes ago, when Jeremy Adams was on, when he was writing the Flash, he never missed. It was bang after banger every issue, and yeah, he's picked up where he left off over here in Green Lantern. And I mentioned before, Hal Jordan was not my favorite Green Lantern. I actually didn't like him that much. This uh, storyline thus far has grounded him to an extent where I'm like, okay, maybe this dude is not too bad. And we got some answers in this issue. We found out the mystery of this lantern ring that just mysteriously appeared to him. He ventured into some unknown secret garden type world, and over there he found what's been powering this mysterious lantern ring. Uh, so it seems like the United Planets uh, put up a backup Owen power battery on Earth because they thought that the Earth lanterns were the best of all of them, and the Earth lanterns would be the ones to protect the universe if anything else happened and all the other lanterns went rogue. So they hid this battery on Earth, and that was the thing that, or the object that was powering this mysterious lantern ring, and it prevented him from going off Earth to back to Oa. So yeah, we got those answers, and he found a way to uh, forge a brand new ring. And he actually has the ability to create brand new rings for other Green Lanterns on Earth now as well, um, all from this new power battery. So yeah, I don't know. I love this book. I love the art, Monaco, amazing. Every single panel, 10 out of 10. No notes. And yeah, like essentially he's heading back to Oa now because he knows that there's been an infiltration from these creatures and these entities that are allowed to change their green lantern or their lantern colors from green to red to yellow, you name it. They can literally switch to any lantern color. And they've been basically trying to ruin the United Planets from the inside. So he's heading back, and that was the cliffhanger. So we need to see what happens next. But yeah, I think Jeremy Adams has done such a good job of just like holding the reader's hand, taking them through everything scene by scene, not letting any like complex or complicated detail pass them by. And I think he's done a great job. And there was a time, I think it was around issue 5, where I was considering leaving this book, but yeah, I held on, and yeah, I don't think I'm putting this down for a while. I love it.
That's exciting. One thing I will ask, I don't even I'm trying to think of where we are, and we'll talk about this in a little bit because I actually just added it to our review list because I almost forgot to talk about it. And this would have been really bad because it was a very big book. Is we have a new event coming soon. Coming
Yeah.
now, actually, in DC. Is there anything with the continuity of the overall DC? Anything? Now I know Green Lantern's just, way out there. Not much going on with Earth stuff. But is there anything brewing that you've seen?
Are we talking about House of Brainiac?
Yes.
No, not in Green Lantern, or at least not in issue 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my curiosity. That was my curiosity. You know what we can actually just talk about now, since you brought it up?
Yep.
Let's talk about it. Oh, there we go. House of Brainiac. It's beginning.
Nice.
It is beginning. I just added this. I almost completely forgot about this book, and then I realized I read it earlier, and I was like, let me add this. This is the start of DC's next big event. It's another continuation of DC's like the all Superman story thing that they're doing in Action Comics. And this is Joshua Williamson, who is doing the Superman run right now, coming in for Action Comics. And we're kind of doing like, a little cross story between Action and Superman back and forth. So the Superman fans can kind of get like double dosage of story per month, which is very nice. It's very exciting. This is the beginning of the House of Brainiac. And I'm not going to go into any major spoilers at all because there is one very big twist in this that I was not expecting at all. That's been coming from the Superman run that started there. And it was just kind of like, whoa, I didn't see this coming. I don't know if anyone saw this coming, but that's a fun little twist to kind of add an overarching little, oh, I can see where things were going from here now. This makes sense. I will say this. The art, so good. The art is so good. The beginning is so good. Beginning is classic. Look how nice. It's a lovely day. Lois is out having a day off, which you could probably imagine doesn't end well at all. And Superman is out, and you just get some great panels of Superman flying around the world, and everyone's like, hey, it's Superman. He's high-fiving a kid in a soccer stadium, and it's just like, yeah, what can possibly go wrong? And then
And then
events
some
occur.
dark clouds appear.
Quite literally, yes. And then dark clouds appear, things start falling from the sky, and all hell breaks loose. I'm excited to see where this goes. It's been a fun ride on Superman. I was in my Superman era in 2023. It's been continuing here in 2024. And it's just cool. The continuity
Do
again, that's the key word, from one book to another and then back to this one.
do I need to be in the know with Action Comics before this one, or can I
You.
just pick up House of Brainiac 1?
If you've been keeping up with Superman,
Yeah.
this is a continuation of Superman.
Okay. Okay.
Honestly, if you're only reading Action Comics, you may be a bit confused.
Cool.
But it's been good. This is a good little fun way to start an event. It looks dangerous. And we know that a bigger thing is coming after this. So who knows if House of Brainiac, you know, if Superman's going to win this because there's a bigger thing coming after this. I think that's interesting. I think that
Uh,
is
on that
interesting.
note, like there is a bigger thing coming. and
Mhm.
DC announced this big event coming
Mhm.
called Absolute Power
That
by
is what I'm
Mark
referring
Wade,
to. Yep.
yeah, and Dan Moore.
Mhm.
And that kicks off in July, if I'm not mistaken. And there are tons of crossovers over there,
Yes.
all written by Mark Wade himself. I think it's Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, Titans, Superman, and Action Comics. I think those are all the titles that it's going to be crossing over with.
Mhm.
But there are some, and I mentioned this to you off the call earlier. There
Yes.
are some callbacks to Green Arrow as well, and Green Arrow number 9 that I spoke about on our last episode. There was some like seeds being planted over there with regards to Amanda Waller, um, and how Ali's been working for her. All of those things are going to culminate in that big storyline, Absolute Power moving forward. So yeah, I'm super psyched about that. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Absolute Power seems like it'll be the combination of everything going on between Nightwing, Titans, and Green Arrow with the Waller section, the Brainiac section going on here in Action Comics,
Yep.
and then everything failsafe going on in Chip Zdarsky's Batman comics.
Yeah.
We're all kind of like, going into, you have your Trinity, you have your Superman, your Batman, and Wonder Woman DC Trinity. But who's the evil Trinity? Who's the antithesis of that?
Yeah.
That's what they're kind of leaning towards here in this absolute power. That seems like that'll be the fallout of House of Brainiac, right? Again, an event that leads to an event that leads to an event that tells a
Yeah.
continuous story that doesn't, it's been exciting seeing that.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they brought that Dawn of DC label back. I think they
Mm,
realized when they announced Absolute Power, okay, wait, this continuity needs to stick around for a lot longer, because we are going to just be interweaving these storylines for at least the next like 5 to 6, 7 months.
mhm.
So yeah, let's bring that back and let's keep everything under one umbrella and keep everybody happy. And I'm happy. I know you're happy.
I am
So
happy. You know
more
what
to
book I've
say.
been happy with? You know what book I've been happy with? Jed McKay's Doctor Strange, man. Golly, what a fun book this is. I also love when arcs are not 6 issues long because that can sometimes get a little tiresome when you don't care for the story and you're like, crap, I love this book, but this arc is just not for me. In this arc that they just did, that was a very fun arc. 2 issues.
Wow.
2 issues and it's over. And I was like, man, I almost wish we had a little longer because at the end of this, it goes straight towards a new Blood Hunt event. Again, with the Marvel continuity going on their end, where they have this massive event written by Jed McKay to kind of have everything tie in over there. But this is so fun. This was essentially an issue where Doctor Strange goes and has to fight a magical being that is almost like a tabletop RPG book. So, what do you do when you have to fight a tabletop and you have to go into that world? Well, he's the magician.
Yeah.
You got that down. He's the wizard. So, what
Yeah.
else do you need when you go into your tabletop RPG? Well, you need your thief. Enter Felicia Hardy. You need
Oh.
your brawler. You need your rogue. Enter Taskmaster. And you need your priest. Well, Moon Knight's dead, but his brother is not Hunter's Moon, who is also introduced in Jed McKay's Moon Knight arc. How they always say, if you don't know that Hunter's Moon exists, let's just say this. They always call Moon Knight the fist of Khonshu, but Khonshu has two fists.
Yeah.
There's never just one. There's always another. So we have our priest, and
There's
this
a lot
book was
going on here
so
on this
fun.
cover.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. The art inside doesn't look like this. This is an Alex Ross cover. So,
Hmm.
get a little
True.
highly detailed. Inside, it's a little different. It's a very fun book, though. I had
Okay.
an absolute blast with this. Jed McKay, I mean, I love Black Cat. Jed McKay writes Felicia Hardy so good and puts her in scenarios where it's not like beneath her or putting her in a scenario where it's like we've seen her before, where they over sexualize this character. But they just put her in a funny situation where she's just kind of like bad mouthing Strange, or Clea comes up. This is the issue prior. Clea's around. She's just like, Steven, who is this white haired woman around here? And then Felicia starts talking. She's just like, ugh, she's awful. And he's like, yeah, I know. Like, it's it's great, and it keeps the continuity of the storytelling because Jed's been writing freaking everything at Marvel. It feels like, he's been doing Avengers, he's been doing Doctor Strange, he's been doing
Yeah.
Moon Knight, he's doing an X book later. Like, the man's been everywhere doing everything. It's like, what isn't he doing? He's doing a big event coming out next month too. He's doing everything. But this little 2-issue arc, I just wanted to shout out.
Yeah.
It's just put a smile on my face. It was just fun.
Because it's a 2-issue arc, does that mean the books are chunky, or is it a normal 30-page?
It was a normal 30-page book.
Okay.
And it also, at the very end, kind of continues a little side plot that's been going on in the background of the Doctor Strange books, where you kind of have like your main story, but there's something going on in the background. You're like, hey, what's going on here? This is weird. I feel like this is going to lead to something, but it's like more the
Yeah.
longer form storytelling that's leading to something towards the end, while you have your main story of the issues that just slowly trip into that story pot. It's great. I really like it. Jed McKay knows how to write a comic, man. He knows how
Uh,
to write a comic book. He makes me happy.
yeah.
It's a great time. I can't recommend that book enough either. It's just fun. And it's been going on for a while too. Jed started on Doctor Strange back at the death of Doctor Strange.
Oh wow.
And then it kept on going into the, golly, what was it? He kept on going into the Clea book that was after that, after Doctor Strange died, which was her trying to get him back. And now he's back, and this has been his arc from there. So he's been on this book now. It says, for however many issues it is, it's much more than what we're at for how long he's been writing Doctor Strange. So it's been great. Really,
Yeah.
really like that. We wanted to talk about this last thing real quick because this has been kind of like a thing that Marvel's been leading up to. And we have more X books. I know it's not solicit season, but they kind of dropped these on us this week. We already have our 3 main X books going on down the road, right? And now they just dropped these 3. One of them I feel like we kind of already knew about, which is Phoenix. Stephanie
Yeah.
Phillips is writing this one. But we also have an X-Force team that's going to be led by Forge, Deadpool also starring in it, and a cult classic, NYX, which from the sound of it it's not really an X-Men book. It's more of just like a mutant book, kind of living and trying to make the most of their lives, you
It
know.
seems like it's a youth centric,
Yeah.
targeted at youth, trying to just appeal to a certain demographic. And I mean, you can see with the team that's displayed in front of us right now.
Yeah, so it's Miss
That's exactly
Marvel,
what
we
we're doing.
got Laura
Yeah.
Wolverine, Sophie Cuckoo, Prodigy, and
Yeah.
Anole.
Yeah.
Digging deep on
One,
some of those.
one thing I'm happy about, I see Kamala's OG uniform that she's wearing,
Hmm.
and I love that. I'm not a fan of her X-Men costume. Like I love the OG stuff, and I'm a bit happy seeing her back in her OG threads.
One thing about this, guys, for the last time, as a Connecticut resident, I will stand up for my fellow awkward tri-state area state here. The New Jersey erasure. Like, come on. I know it's NYX and, Kamala may be trying to help out the mutants in New York, but don't forget, y'all, she's from New Jersey. That's a whole different
Do
thing.
not
That's a different state. Jersey City represent, like, come on.
don't make her forget her roots, Marvel.
Ugh.
Don't do it.
Otherwise, I'm actually really interested in that book. It looks fun. I like fun books like that. It probably not on the same vibes, but when they released Exterminators, I can't remember if it was last year or the year prior, and it was just this wild team, and it was such a fun time. I'm hoping this just kind of has like that same fun vibes, much different tone, obviously, because that Exterminators book was like borderline like Black Label for Marvel, and this looks a little more younger.
Yeah.
But just give me the fun vibes. I'm good with that. Give me, how they live. Laura can be imagine Laura just like walking through New York City. Everyone's just like pushing her and just, oh man, she could be a menace over there. Phoenix is interesting because I didn't think Jean Grey had the Phoenix Force yet, and I don't think she does. So spoilers.
We don't actually have much info about this book though. I think even the tweet when Marvel announced it, it was just like I think 2 lines. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, so what's actually happening here? Like, what are we supposed to be looking forward to in this book?
So it is pretty obvious. Elephant in the room. It is really obvious what Marvel's doing here with all these X books. With the mainline books that they got, with the success of the TV show being out, and from
Yeah,
the fact that, Marvel Studios has the rights to the X-Men again, we're going for the nostalgia factor, man. If you like that 97 team, you like those 97 vibes, man, buckle up for a nostalgia trip because you're going to get a lot of that, I feel like. But also, it looks like, a little bit of the new because of the NYX factor. X Force, yeah, you're going to have Deadpool in there naturally. But Forge Leaning Team sounds fun.
yeah. I think
I
Deadpool's only scheduled to be in the first issue
naturally,
from the article that I've read. So it's
naturally.
like, okay, Deadpool's just there and he's gonna like peace out, catch you guys never.
Great. You got that sale, you got that issue one sale with
Yep.
Deadpool, you're cruising after that.
Yeah.
So my main question to you, and the reason I brought all this up, because I want your thoughts on this, and I'll give mine later. We are now not even a couple months away from all these books releasing.
Yeah.
From, from the ashes, a new beginning after the fall of X. I think we're at least a minimum of 6 X books out right now. Minimum. There's probably more. Are you already getting overwhelmed?
I think it's a lot. Like in all honesty, I think it is a lot. Out of these three, I probably would only check out NYX if I'm being
Mhm.
completely honest. And I love Jackson Lansing as a comic creative. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I want to be fully immersed in what he's trying to push out with this one. So I'm going to give this one a chance, and I'm going to see how it's going to go. But the other two aren't really selling me. How do you feel?
So I'm going to add 2 of these to my poll list. More of a not a full poll list, but at least an issue 1. Let's give it a shot. NYX just because it seems fun.
Yeah,
I think that can be an interesting concept, and I'll give that a try. But the other one is Phoenix. I really like Stephanie Phillips as a writer. She's written Grimm, which I love from Boom Studios, and she also is on the Black Widow and Hawkeye book. And that first issue I thought was pretty solid too. Outside of those two, when it comes to like the main X-Men books, it's like Gail's book and Jed McKay's book. I'll give it a shot too. But now, is it because I'm interested in the teams or is it because I'm interested in the writers?
yeah,
Right? Because if Gail wasn't on an X book, if Jed McKay isn't on an X book, I may not be picking those up. But they are. So I'll give it a shot. And X books for me are very hit or miss. Right?
yeah,
I have loved some in the past, and I'm not much of an X reader. I've loved some in the past. Hellions, Zeb Wells' Hellions. For all the shtick that this guy gets for Amazing Spider-Man, he's a damn good writer. He really is. When he's given a book that he can thrive on, he can write and he can do really well. I loved his Hellions run. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Exterminators. Absolute blast. And that was another just kind of like fun offshoot team. So when the X-Men are at their best, and even the Hellions prove this, and Exterminators, to an extent. It's when it's a soap opera. It's why we're liking the TV show right now. It's because it's drama, right? It's not the
Yep.
over willy-nilly science stuff. That stuff is cool, but it's the love triangles. It's the just the interpersonal relationships of it all. That's that's the stories that people come for. So if
Yep.
any one of these can give me some of that, I trust Gail with it. I trust Jed McKay with it. NYX, maybe the teen drama, right? That can be a teen drama
Yep.
book where you kind of have like that in the New Mutants. But it's I'm giving it a chance. But like a lot of X books with me, personally, it's on a short leash.
Yeah. Don't forget that we have the X-Men 97 tie-in as well. I think
Yes.
that ends around about mid-May, if I'm not, or I
Yeah,
think it's,
I picked up that second
I
issue
can't
this
remember.
week. I didn't have the chance to read it, so that's why we're not including it on today's show.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that first issue, and I'm curious what that second issue is going to be about because holy heck, that last episode was wild.
Yeah. So I'm like, just for anybody that's not in the know about it, it's a prelude of what happened between in the years after the previous X-Men show and before X-Men 97. So there might be a lot of answers being to your questions, a lot of blank spaces being filled. So if you have a chance, try to pick it up. It's only going to be for your benefit after it all.
Yeah, the first issue, I will say, it felt more of I wish I read this before the first episode because it more just sets the scene of it all. It's more used not so much for extra information, but as a big promotion for the show. So if you read that and you're like, "Oh, I heard about the show coming out too," then you're a little more well balanced if you're just kind of jumping right into the
Yeah.
show after reading that first issue. So we'll see where things are after the second issue. Again, I haven't read it yet. There is one book that we didn't bring up that I didn't have on our fancy graphics, but you wanted to talk about it real quick. Go ahead.
So yeah, like I said earlier on, I spoke about absolute power,
Mm,
and I just wanted to bring the fact that I was speaking so highly about Green Arrow number 9 on our last episode, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I called it probably the best title that DC is releasing this year. And I was reading other people's reviews, and I came across comicbook.com.
mhm.
And I'm just going to read this verbatim.
Mm,
Just give me a second. So, Tim Adams from comicbook.com, he says, I'm liking where the story is heading. With the news of DC's Absolute Power event kicking off this summer, Green Arrow helps lay the groundwork with Amanda Waller factoring in heavily in Green Arrow number 9. Green Arrow may be the headliner, but Wallace steals the show. It's hard to know if she's being trustworthy or just manipulating Oliver Queen and his family. Plus, there's the last page reveal of another controversial DC story that factors into the proceedings. He rated that issue 5 out of 5. I don't
mm.
think I've seen any Green Arrow issue since this new run started being rated that high. I looked on multiple other comic review sites, 10 out of 10s, 100s, 5 out of 5. I mean, this was just phenomenal storytelling from start to finish. And like you mentioned, that last page cliffhanger is basically where Amanda Waller tells Oliver Queen she needs him to steal something from Sanctuary. And we all know what Sanctuary is. It's the place where all of these heroes go to basically just get all of their trauma out, and it's all recorded, but it's all done anonymously. And Amanda wants him to go steal stuff like that, basically just exposing all of their identities, exposing all of their weaknesses. And this is going to be popcorn, box office, cinema moving forward. And this is why I think Green Arrow, Josh Williamson, man, dude, I mean, I can't give this guy enough flowers. Amazing writing from him. And I can't wait to see what happens in the future.
See, every time you say something about this, I'm like, man, I need to go pick it up because that first issue, I'm like, oh god, we're doing time travel. And then it's like, oh god, we're doing time travel. You know my whole thing with time travel. But
Yeah.
I know I gotta get around that. I gotta get through it. And then, we're kind of at where we're at. And it really
Yeah.
sets up that greater continuity stuff. I just gotta get around the time travel thing.
Yeah.
I really do.
The time travel stuff, it basically resolves itself after issue 5, I think.
That's 5 issues.
And then
Okay.
I but it's so the thing is, it's not like it plays on you that much. There's a lot of good story to be told. And then it's like, oh, okay, but he time traveled as well. And then you find out why the time travel was such a big part of the story. And after the
Mhm,
time travel resolves itself, you don't look back on it ever again. Then it's just proper Amanda Waller story moving forward. And as we said with Absolute Power, the Green Arrow book is going to be absolutely integral to that story arc.
mhm. I gotta get on it. I gotta get on it. Other books we're gonna get on for the next couple weeks, buddy. What do you got until our next episode? Any books you're looking out for?
So I haven't spoken about the Superman comic in a while, so I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to let one of the Greens take a backseat. So Green Arrow, Green Lantern, one of them will be taking a backseat. I don't think I'm going to be speaking about the Flash for a while, just until I wrap my head around what's actually happening over there. But yeah, definitely Superman, Miss Marvel, trying to catch up with her issues as well. And yeah, House of Brainiac. I wanna read up on that as well.
We got so many books coming out over the next couple weeks. Here's some of my picks. As our usual, Wonder Woman back in the main action after that issue 7 kind of one-off story kind of going off to the side, little side issue. It's fine. Superman, as you mentioned, Nightwing 113. Here's a book I really want to shout out because it's only 4 issues. It's done after this one. Zoe Thorgood's Hack Slash, phenomenal. And I can't wait for that to wrap up next week. It also makes me sad that that book is wrapping up after 4 issues. It was just a mini series, so that's to be expected. Avengers Twilight coming to an end soon. And the big one, we got 2 big ones. Something is Killing the Children is coming back, as well as the 4th issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. That saga continues. We do, just to warn everyone, have a fill-in artist for a couple issues on that. But it's kind of, again, it's more of like a little Peter side off to kind of explore the personal lives of everyone in the New York area of that Ultimate Spider-Man book without spoiling anything. But that's exciting. And I guess Jackpot Black Cat. We'll talk about that maybe. There is a point to shout out Nikita from my comic shop. Him and I had a discussion about Jackpot Black Cat. A very heated discussion between the two of us, not because we were disagreeing, but because we were agreeing about some decisions that were made in that book. We'll see where the second issue goes with that. But he had a fantastic idea that if they do not do this in this next issue, I am 100% bringing up because they should be doing this in that book. And that's my tease for that. AF, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, I'm at AF Parker 642 on all social media platforms. Yeah, I chat about TV shows, movies, comic books, sports, anything. So yeah, if you just type that handle in, you'll find me.
You can find me on Twitter at Damon Tweet. You can find me on TikTok at Damon Talks Comics, TOKS. You can find me on Instagram at Damon.Graham. You sense the theme, you get the theme, you know how this goes. Quick shout out. We have a few bonus episodes already up here on the Comic Corner channel. TJ Fat Thor interviewed the Steve Orlando and talked all things Scarlet Witch, his new graphic novel Silver Vessels, which is a lot of fun, and also talked about the importance of your local comic shops. So go visit your local comic shops, shout them out. Boom2 Comics, go visit there here in Southington, Connecticut. Love them. It's practically a second, third home for me at this point. Everyone there is awesome. That'll do it for this issue of the Comic Corner. Until next time, go read some comics.